Oh, no, wait, one second. 1 second. Bam. Get rid of Pedro's sounds. You're gonna have to have this screen for a while. Because I haven't... clicky click. Clicky click, click, click. Boom. Good. Twitch.tv. Perfect. Bam. 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 Get rid of this. That was on my screen. You can't see it anyway, it's good. But it wasn't doing anything to do with Evocati, don't you fucking worry. Boom. Face. Bam. Hey. I was chewing some Airways eucalyptus gum. Oh, it's the most refreshing gum on the internet. No, I'm not. We're not sponsored by them, don't worry. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is well. Hope everyone can hear me okay. I am processing my voice like I would for my voiceovers now. So it just adds sort of like, it should clear up any background sound. I think it adds a tiny amount of bass to my voice as well. Bass to my voice. I've got some better lighting, but I've only set up one half of it. So the next time I stream, there should be some lighting coming from this direction as well. Eliminating the shadow behind me and should improve the visual quality of my potato-like features. I hope that's good. If anyone's got a question they'd like to ask, question in brackets helps me pick it out from the chat. Feel free to ask about anything, whether it's about me, whether it's about YouTube's, whether it's about Star Citizen. I'm not a CIG developer or Star Citizen developer. I'm not contracted or paid by them in any way, shape or form. But I do know a fuck ton about Star Citizen because I read everything and it is my job to cover the game. And it's a self-imposed job via my YouTube channel. But I seem to have got quite a large amount of support for it. And I do appreciate you guys coming to watch and enjoying my stuff, potentially enjoying my stuff, hopefully enjoying my stuff. Fuck off. Yes, I know I know I'm very shiny, okay? I'm a shiny person. Let's have a look. How shiny am I? That's good. I mean, it's not as awful as it normally is, shiny-wise. But I'm a beautiful specimen of a man. Right.
Tricksy little
hobbitses. At some of these
I appreciate
questions.
you, my shiny-headed friend BoredGamer.
Thanks, JP Sandman. I appreciate that you appreciate my shininess. Thanks. So we'll go through some questions in a minute because I'll let them build up and I'll be a few minutes behind. And feel free to ask a question again if I haven't answered it after 10 or so minutes. But we've got 3.5 as an Evocati build now. And as most of you already probably know, it's flight model orientated. So that's the features they're focusing on for the next probably couple of weeks at least. Flight model stuff. The new flight model, as we saw in Reverse the Verse, is very different compared to what we previously had. It's a lot lighter weight as well, network code-wise, apparently. And it just works very differently. I've had some time to test it a bit, and I can't give you my precise thoughts on exactly what's going on, like talk about controls or anything, but I can say that it definitely has potential, and it's not entirely trash. But it's an Evocati build. There are lots of problems with lots of things. That's sort of the general Evocati stuff I can talk about because we are under NDA for it, and we can't disclose particulars of that patch that aren't public knowledge anyway. There are some leaks and stuff like that on Reddit if you desperately want to go and find out what's going on. Have a look at that. It will be on first wave PTU at some point within the next 2-3 weeks, I would expect. Because they'll, as soon as they've got the flight model a bit more stabilized and make sure that like the gameplay area with ArcCorp is stable and not causing everything to crash constantly, then they'll open that up to first wave PTU so they can get a load more testers in. And I would say test the new flight model before you say it's trash or before you say you love it or whatever. It needs feedback, it needs balance, it needs a lot of stuff to make this flight model good, because it certainly was okay and quite fun to fly around in, but it's going to be a while before they've balanced it fully for combat and things like that. And there's going to be a good amount of iteration on it between major patches over this year. Assume that they won't have the flight model fully done until Squadron 42 is released. That's what I'm sort of like considering. Well, now the core of the flight model is fully complete and balanced, but to a good degree. That's what we're sort of like maybe alpha, beta, probably beta of Squadron 42, rather than actually released, I suppose. I think that's reasonable. I think it's reasonable to say. Yeah, there's not too much I can say about it because, you know, you saw a lot of it in our TV, although some of it was a black screen. So let's talk about that actually. In Reverse the Verse, they demoed the flight model. At the beginning of the stream, their gamma was set really, really low in game. So that translated to being on stream as being like a black screen. You could just see the HUD. Obviously for them, because their monitor was dealing with the gamma, it looked fine for them, but they were on a nighttime side of a moon or whatever. So we could just see a black screen in the HUD, but we got to see the HUD, and then later on we got to see the ship flying around. And the ship looks a bit floaty when it's in atmosphere. The way you're going to use the new flight model is that W and S strafes you forward and back. So holding W will make you go forward, but releasing W will make you lose speed. You can set cruise control, and you can mouse wheel for velocity control. So you can go, I'm going to mouse wheel all the way up to basically my maximum cruise speed, or wheel back down to your sort of SCM speeds, or go really low and have like a precision mode. Now they were going to have velocity control and acceleration control, but at the moment they've gone away from acceleration control in favor of velocity control, because velocity control actually gives you the sort of features that acceleration control would. Not entirely, and I would like acceleration control back still, because there's a lot of different things you can do with it. Because you might want to set your cruise speeds higher and then use your acceleration control to do particular maneuvers and things like that. So there definitely is a use for it, especially, I would say, higher skill ceiling players. And from the looks of it, the new flight model looks to be lower skill ceiling, more sort of like a lot more simplified. And there are going to be lots of... Need to talk about it without... Hard to talk about it, that's all, at the moment. But from what we saw on RTV, it looks a bit more simplified. I'm worried that there's not too much of a skill ceiling. And that might... or not, there's too much of a skill ceiling, I suppose what I mean. Like, it's very compressed, in my opinion. You have to think about tactics before you do them. And the individual skill, the twitch sort of skill of a player is significantly reduced. Some players will love that, some players will hate that. That's just the nature of that. And some people are going to hate the new flight model because it's just a general change. Big change. It's a big change. And I'm reserving judgment on it. Well, number one, because I have to, because it's in Evocati. And number two, because it's going to go through a lot of iterations. We will talk about this in a lot more detail as soon as it's gone to first wave PTU, or when they start to release a bit more information about the flight model. I'm happy to answer questions on the flight model based on stuff that we know, but I can't talk about the specifics of Evocati. So please bear that in mind and set your questions accordingly. I think that I like the idea of the new flight model. I'm going to say that now, even if that's going to cause some pushback from people that don't like it in the future. I do like it. I do think it's got potential. And I am okay with them normalizing that skill ceiling in certain aspects for some combat. I do want there to be a lot of skill involved in Star Citizen. I do not want there to be the sort of Twitch shooter impregnable super builds and that sort of stuff. I don't want there to be like, this guy is entirely untouchable because he is semi-exploiting some things with this particular ship set up and hull. I want everyone to be beatable. But there's so much. That's more to do with balance than the flight model, I suppose. And we can talk about that for a long time because there's lots of postulation I will go through in my head, and I'll talk about it. I could talk it over, and I might change my mind on it. So I'm reserving judgment on a lot of that stuff, but I do think it's got potential, and I've enjoyed some of the changes that I have seen. There's certainly lots of problems with it still. If it is lighter weight and it sorts a lot of network problems out and PvP becomes competitive again and fun, fucking great. However, I would say that Star Citizen is not a one-on-one ship combat game. And that's a good way of balancing the way that ships should sort of like match each other and fight each other, and how weapons should be balanced. Yeah, you can rapidly iterate on stuff by playing an Arena Commander, but that's not necessarily the persistent universe and how that's going to play out. So stuff needs to be balanced for the persistent universe rather than for Arena Commander, in my opinion. And I hope they go down that route. I don't want stuff to be balanced for Arena Commander as the focus and then put into the persistent universe. You see what I mean with that? I think the persistent universe is significantly more important and reflective of what the game's going to be. And Arena Commander, although important in some ways, is more of an arcade experience. So excited about 3.5. Do you think PTU with ArcCorp is going to release at the middle of March? That is sort of like the earliest it would release, middle of March. Let me give you an approximate date. Yeah, between Thursday the 14th and the 21st of March was when I'd expect to see first wave PTU. That might be a little optimistic, but between that, it's probably about right. And egg wearing glasses, that is true. That is me. Has 3.5 gone live? No, it's in Evocati phase, not live yet. What did I have for breakfast today? I actually had a bacon sandwich. Now, I went to my doctor on Friday. I was going to go up to Winslow area and Manchester because there was a French group that went up there for an office tour, and JR and people and a few other people were all up at the same time, probably for some meetings or something. And there was a bar citizen up there, but I had a doctor's appointment, unfortunately, which I've got an issue with my mouth, and they said go to the dentist. I get worried like it's oral cancer or something, but I've got like a little lumps under my tongue. Might just because I'm old, might just be what people get. It's yeah, so I went to the doctor because of that. That was the only time they could see me before the 23rd of March or something. So I went, well, I'll get it done and out of the way now. I can't remember what I was going to... Oh, and they said, basically, you're fat, lose some cholesterol, because I recently had some liver function tests, and they went, your liver's functioning fine, you've got quite a high count of a particular enzyme, but your cholesterol you've got lots of bad cholesterol. Lose some weight, lower your cholesterol. It's like, cool, I can do that. So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. However, I did have a bacon sandwich this morning, but other than that, we're going good. Going good on diet. What's your opinion on auto gimbal? It is definitely different from pip convergence they were originally talking about. Sunk Shark, I think they might have both now. So I think that auto gimbal, I'm not entirely sure if they're going to have pip convergence, but I assume they will. I think they're dumbing down a lot of the combat in the game so that it focuses on different areas. That's what I feel that's going to be happening with the flight model and the combat. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's definitely got potential, as long as it focuses on the right parts and it's very smooth and a good experience. So auto gimbal, for people that don't know, is that your gimbals that have the capabilities of moving will, in auto gimbal mode on, will try and track a target. So they will literally point at something that they can point at. They might have a tracking speed to do it, associated with it, and they won't have the full range of movement that you manually aiming with that gimbal would have. So it's only within a certain radius, certain area. So you have to keep the target within that, and then you'll have some tracking of that target automatic. So you can literally focus more on the flying and the flying around a target and trying to keep it there. Might be especially useful on some of the smaller interceptors or something to do something like that. But it's in an additional mode. Might be good, might be awful, might be super overpowered, might be super weak. We'll have to wait and see. I think they're still going to have pip convergence though, and pip convergence would be, it doesn't matter if you had 12 different types of weapon that
I'm
all
gonna
fire at
buy
different speeds
so
that
many
converge the pips
spaceships.
together.
Would it be reasonable to say that the skill ceiling is easy to become reach from a proficiency level, but difficult to master, or is it too early to tell? Love your face and your shiny bald head of doom.
I love you,
Laughing
Harbinger.
face.
Harbinger. My shiny bald head of doom, indeed. Harbinger has partly sponsored the carrot giveaway this month, and if you want to post your Forgotten Herald's link, Harby, that would be fucking great. I love you as well. Hopefully meeting... Harbinger's moved to my country as well, which is awesome. So I will be meeting him at some point. We'll be going for drinkies. He's blind, though, so I mean, any of you could meet him. You could just say it was me. You could just play recordings of my voice. I love you, dude. So, in regards to, would it be reasonable to say that the skill ceiling is easy to become... Is it difficult to master or not? Okay. Too early to tell, nor could I tell you how it actually feels in Evocati. However, from what we saw in RTV, it looks a lot dumbed down. So I would say that the skill ceiling compared to what we had previously is lower, and there is no mastery above a certain point. So it's lower in my opinion, from what we've seen so far. But they're going to iterate upon it, and a lot of it, I think, is what they're trying to do is make component choice and weapon choice and loadout choice a lot more important, and sort of like tactics and strategy more important than quick thinking during combat, although that will still have a big role. I don't know. It's really hard to talk about at the moment. I'm really sorry about that. I'm so like, what's he ranting on about? What does he know? Also, I have only used the flight model on a mouse and keyboard at this stage. So bear that in mind as well. I will HOTAS myself up with it soon, and as soon as it goes first wave, we'll talk about it in a lot more detail. I'll see if I can hook up with Twerkosaurus or Noob or all of them, and we'll have a big discussion about it, because I think that's something that is worth talking about, even if it's just a load of people's different opinions, sort of thing. But thank you so much. That's a fuck ton of money, Harbinger. What have I said about sending me money? I said, I would love your money. Thank you. It's not a March. It's March the 4th today. Have you seen any sneaky peeky leaky stuff? You are the god of potatoes. Thank you very much, Carlos de Jesus. Carlos, is it Carlos de Jesus or Carlos de Jesus? How do I pronounce your name? Also, I have seen the leakies on Reddit. I can't even comment if they're correct. Poor people in Evocati having their videos taken out of the Evocati reporting thing. I think that's what it is happening though, and then just dropped on the Reddit seems a bit harsh, a bit unfair, because they could potentially lose their Evocati access. Potentially, hopefully they wouldn't. But with the new flight model and knowing that the Reclaimer will have problems flying in atmosphere, do you think that you can do cargo running with Karak with its listed 1 billion CCU space? You can do cargo running in any ship, really, that's got a cargo bay. It's just the levels of cargo running and the efficiency of cargo running that you can do, because it's going to be not necessarily just about the amount of room you've got in your ship. It's going to be to do with how efficient is your fuel usage, how quick and how what distance can your quantum drive do, how quickly does it get overworked, what route do you use. You can do more dangerous routes with a more combat capable cargo ship. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. Now, when they talked about the Reclaimer having problems in atmosphere, basically what they were saying is that larger ships and ships that have large mass because of cargo and stuff like that, they are going to have problems in certain atmospheres. It might be more or less based on their VTOL thrusters. The Reclaimer, however, they did go back and say later that the Reclaimer can leave atmosphere to a relatively good degree with its thrusters pointed down, and allow them to blast off, and then they can realign the thrusters so that they can then get out of atmosphere at a reasonable speed. But it's going to be some ships will not be able to leave certain planets and certain atmospheres based on that object's mass, based on their mass, based on their thrusters, based on their VTOLs, based on the amount of cargo they've got on. So it's going to be something that you need to consider. And there will be ways to assist your ship getting into space from ground, such as Argo SRVs, tractor beaming, putting a target up. And there might be, that might be able to be done also with the tractor beam on the Cutlass and things like that. Multiple tractor beams might be able to link together just to help targets, not just SRV ones. Let's say we board a Javelin and it has a medical respawn bay. Are we going to be fighting unlimited waves of players coming up out of that respawn point? Milky water. We are not entirely sure how respawning is going to work when it comes to respawning facilities. We suspect that there will be a tier of medical facility, whether it's just tier 1 medical facilities, or you'd like have a hospital point or a full-on super sick bay or something that will allow players to respawn there. But there will be, almost certainly will be limits to that. There'll be time restrictions. There'll be a certain amount of respawning you can do there, things like that. There will be restrictions. It will be balanced so that you don't have constant waves running out of the medical bay. Yeah? I can say that with certainty, that will be balanced. Do you think we'll get remote access to our ships? Not piloting them, but maybe remote garage opener, security camera feeds, etc. I think that you will have some functionality like that. But when you say remote access, I don't think they're going to allow you to remotely access your ship from a different location to like do certain things with it. Obviously, you can comm down to planets to get them to open hangar bay doors for your ship. They want permissions and security offices in ships and that sort of thing to allow you to like vent an area or open and close doors or potentially have security feeds, things like that. So there's going to be some of that functionality, but I doubt that it's going to be, I'm outside of my ship, Moby Glass, I can open and close all of my doors on my ship remotely from outside of my ship. I don't think you'll have that functionality. They basically said that they don't want certain things like that in the game, or if they do have certain things like that, they need to balance it well. So just bear that in mind, that that's not the sort of gameplay that they wanted, at least when they last talked about it. So even hacking and stuff will be very hands-on. It will be very, you have to be close to you have to be there to do it. It's a very tactile game. It's very sort of like you have to go and do something yourself. And it's part of the risk and reward as well. If something is going to get delayed from 3.5, what do you think it will be? I don't know. The thing with the roadmap and stuff, everything looks like it's making reasonable progress. Let me bring this up on screen for you. Hoping we get the full DNA facial customization stuff. Maybe we'll get a slightly more minimalistic version of that. ArcCorp Area 18 and the Mission Giver looks like it's going well. Maybe some of the... I think avoidance is going well as well. System heat might get pushed to a mini patch. Some of the bounty hunting, environmental mission stuff might get pushed. But that's just looking at the roadmap more than anything else. We don't know yet. Sure, hopefully nothing. Hopefully everything will make it there. I'm really interested in seeing the 300 series rework. And the first brand new ship we actually have in game. And the Singe cannons, are they going to be... Singe cannons might get pushed back. Doesn't look like they've got many tasks done, and it's a whole new type of weapon. I think they're basically hit scan. So when they fire, they sort of hit the target instantly rather than have travel time. It's sort of like tech they use. That's what it sounds like anyway. They're really solid with the new flight model. And the object container streaming updates. I think it's pretty good. I think we're pretty good. What else we got? New flight model has been in development since before CitizenCon. Is there enough time to finish it before 3.5? Yes. They're testing it now in Evocati. Well, I say finish it. No, not to finish it, but to have a first iteration of it for 3.5, yes. So it favors proactive over reactive. I think it's more proactive than it's ever been. That lexicon, if that sort of helps suggest that. I mean, it's obviously because it's still going to be a relatively reactive model. It's just more proactive than it was. Yeah? What's your favourite personal ship? What's your personal favourite ship? Ship monkey. I couldn't read that for some reason. The Reclaimer's pretty high on the list. The Saber's probably my favourite fighter at the moment. Arthur Orion, I love the Banner Merchantman. I love loads of ships that haven't come out yet. Carrack and Reclaimer. Probably what I'm going to be spending most of my time in. So when I was describing skill ceiling, I was sort of like comparing it, Star Citizen's flight model, throughout the experience. And when I think of PvP and competitive, I sort of more compare it to 2.6.3 as a flight model. So the stuff we've had since 3.0, I would not consider representative of anything that Star Citizen wanted to do with its flight model or combat. It was sort of like they were trying to fix the flight model to work in the the new like network environment and with all this new stuff, and it just wasn't appropriate for it. Does the new flight model allow for more precision flight in atmosphere, or is it a bit of a drag? Oh, Joe. It needs tweaking. What we saw from RTV is that, well, it looked a bit floaty to me, and we're not going to get out of the... Planets are still going to feel a lot like they're in space when you're flying in them in 3.5. That's basically what they said. Hopefully for 3.6, they should be a less floaty. I would expect the atmospheric flight model to be better in 3.5, but it's not going to be anywhere near what it wants to be yet. But it's going to be closer. Do you think the new 300 release will see backers buying ships that allow customization of weapons loadout alongside livery? Yes, I do. I actually think it will be that. I think it might be some internal customization as well, not just colours on the externals and livery, or perhaps we'll see more or less choice moving forward. I think we'll see more choice in customization and sales of ships, and some of that will be outside of the game, purchasing with real money in the short term, but that will eventually be in-game. So you can fully do all this customization in-game. When exploring new worlds, it would make sense to send in a probe to determine how your ship would react to atmospheric conditions. Are probes in development? Not as far as I'm aware. There are drones. Drones might be able to give you atmospheric readings for like the scout drones that like the Carrack has and things like that. I would like to see a gravity warning when you're approaching large gravity bodies, which could cause your ship problems. But you do get like you're going to have some data exposed to you with that, so you will be able to research what at least from like the star map and that sort of stuff, you'll be able to see what planet it is. Maybe you'll be able to scan it and see how strong gravity it's got, whatever. But there will be ways of working that out. Hopefully it will be very simply exposed to us. What do you think about the recent wave of complaints about ArcCorp and Area 18 losing the feel of verticality they used to have? Yeah, okay, so the old look at ArcCorp, which is occasionally going to be on screen here because I've almost semi-purposely chosen that video, had some of the older assets and lots of different verticality. The newer ArcCorp that we've seen so far has less in terms of verticality, at least in the areas that we've seen. I would say we need to wait until we see it in 3.5. I do think they are going to have various shapes and sizes of buildings, and there's going to be a lot of verticality in some areas and not others. I think it will be district-based, and you'll see certain areas of the planet look very different from others. But you are trying to compare old sort of like assets made for a CitizenCon that were meant to wow you, and they had that verticality aspect around Area 18, to some of the sort of like tests and asset bits and bobs that they're building out at the moment, which are not finalized in the slightest. So I would not expect to see the whole planet flat or anything. I do still expect that we'll see areas that have big feelings of verticality and juxtaposed with horizontal bits as well. It's going to be a mixed bag, and I think there's going to be a lot of city biomes there that will have the different districts. They all have their own little feel. And around Area 18 and the starport, around the starport you might have quite low buildings. But around Area 18, I'd expect to see quite high buildings. What do you think about thrusters automatically countering gravity on moons and planets during flight? Well, I think that's what the IFCS is for. It allows you to deal with it. It's not going to 100% fully counteract all gravity and that sort of stuff. You're going to be able to feel that a lot more in the new flight model. That's going to put your thrusters under a lot more pressure. Some ships may not be able to deal with that gravity on moons and planets very well for prolonged periods of time, and that their thrusters will overheat. They will misfire, and you could come tumbling down if you're in Aurora or something, trying to stay in a very, very, very high gravity area sort of thing. Overheat very quickly is my expectation. Game Glass is now an alpha. Have you given it a try yet? I've not given the alpha a try yet. As soon as I'll give it a try very soon. I've got my setup ready for it. What I want is first wave PTU, and I can try it in alpha 3.5. Good job with the with Game Glass, by the way. I like the idea of it. I like the idea of a supported app. As long as they continue to support it, and it's very featureful, I'm going to be happy to subscribe to that service. However, there is a free service for it as well, which a lot of people will find more than suitable for them without having to spend any more money. Do you think we will see wormhole jumps in the next CitizenCon? Yes, I do think they will show that off. Do you like the new turret gameplay? I think the constant iterations on turrets have led to better and better turret gameplay. I think that all they've really done, they've shown in the last around the verse, was that turrets had the pitch and yaw shown, and it was better with direct inputs, wasn't it? Anything else they said about turrets? Turret gameplay? You could, on the fly, change the sensitivity, couldn't you, as well? Yeah? Sounds better. See how it deals with the new flight model? Sorry for being late on this question. Life has been rough with our church continuing to deny. Oh.
Tricksy little hobbitses.
Boom. Another month.
Is the Heartseeker pay to win when as it comes with B shields? No, because you can get B shields in game. It's just a different loadout for the Hornet. And yeah, I do think its items are better, but there are still going to be better items that you can just buy in game anyway. Boom, another month. Thank you very much, Huntress. I'm sorry that your people in your church are having issues with sexuality and that sort of stuff. It's a hard thing, Christianity or certain religions and sexuality and stuff.
18 months. That's finger guns. Pew pew pew.
Facing. Pew pew pew. Finger guns. Pew pew pew. Try to stay away from politics and that sort of talk on my channel when it comes to that. A lot of people won't know that I used to work in a gay club for 5+ years, and part of the Gay Community Health Service, though I'm not gay myself. I have a lot of my best friend is lesbian, and I was the best man at her wedding, and yeah, I've got a rich and full friendship group of a lot of different people. I've had a very, very interesting life growing up, going to clubs and things. Holding W for thrust, how is that going to work with a throttle? So what your throttle now does is your throttle sets your velocity control. So some people are going to really fucking hate that. And I haven't actually used it on a HOTAS myself. So I've just been using a mouse and keyboard. And they didn't show it on HOTAS either in RTV, so I can't really comment too much on it. I suspect it will work somehow. Will there be survival mechanics like thirst, hunger, and stamina? Yes. They are putting in a system for light survival mechanics where if you are hungry or thirsty, and that won't happen like super regularly, it's not going to be like quick drain down for hunger and thirst, that you will get debuffs, it sounds like, and they will affect your stamina. The stamina, it literally shows your heart rate and stuff, and affects the rate you consume oxygen, which is important because oxygen is a resource you need to live in the game, and allows you to, basically stamina allows you to do jumps, allows you to run and things like that, and the more gear you're wearing or more heavy armor you're wearing and that sort of stuff, that will cause you to lose stamina quicker, and eventually you won't be able to do certain tasks until you rest for a second or catch your breath. And catching your breath is going to be about the amount of oxygen you can get back into your blood by breathing. It's quite a good little system, and light survival mechanics like hunger and thirst and alcohol and things like that do work quite well with it. Will there be more ships available to purchase with Alpha UEC? Yes. I'm expecting another ship shop in at Arc Corp. And in 3.6, we are getting rentable ships in the persistent universe. At least that's what it's pegged for. Rich, have you had any progress finding out about the Veterans Day F7A upgrade and what they're planning to do with it? I would expect it, G. Truman, just to be a skin at the moment. They haven't got back to me, but a couple of people I have talked about it in CIG. I went, how much was it? And I showed them the original upgrade. I was like, it's probably just a skin or a livery, but we'll find out for you, sort of thing. So as soon as I find out more about it, I'll put it in a little thing. I'll announce it somewhere. How long have you played with the new flight model? Only a couple of hours. Will Arc Corp have a ship shop? And with what ships? Don't know 100% if it's going to have a ship shop, but I do expect it to have one. I don't know what ships. Question. Bored. I've been meaning to always ask you, how's the Threadripper been forming for you over time? And what have you been using it for other than to compile your YouTube vids? I'm not currently using a Threadripper. I'm currently using a 8700K. An Intel and i7. I'm planning to get the next generation of either AMD or Intel based on reviews. I found that more RAM was actually more beneficial to me for the compiling the videos. Is the Argo SRV overpriced? What do you think of the ship overall? Again, sorry for being behind with my questions. No, that's absolutely fine. Do not worry. I think the Argo SRV is priced in line with their new pricing scheme. And I say new pricing scheme. What I mean is that they're able to do ships a lot quicker now. And they have started charging more for ships. If this ship had been made 4 years ago, this ship would have been, what, $90? Sort of thing? Do you know what I mean? $80 to $90. I think it's going to be one that people should get in game. I think it's going to be relatively cheap in game, and I think they're going to be very populous in game. Yeah, you can ask as many questions as you want. Just question in front of them to help me pick them out. What do you think on the next concept ship? Its role in manufacturer. I think the next concept ship we will see is going to be the Drake Corsair. And that would probably be a Drake Constellation type craft. Potentially moving more towards the Constellation Aquila, and Carrack. But maybe it would be a little bit Anvil Carracky, so like I think it's going to be in between there. That's my expectation. Overall, how many weapons and what sizes will the Tanner have? I think it's got 2 size 2 hardpoints now. It can have. I know it can have 2 twin turrets on its top and bottom hardpoint. I believe the core also has those hardpoints. Thanks for keeping us all up to date. Thank you very much, Brian, for your donation. Very much appreciated. Mwah. GSUP7, you're the most comprehensive. You have the most comprehensive content. Thank you. On everything. On everything. Thank you very much. That's very much appreciated. GSUP7's. I don't know. Is that? I don't know how to read your name. I don't know how to read anyone's name though. So you know. What else have we got here? What do you think about general ship balancing? It needs to be done. It's going to be ongoing until, realistically, I think we won't have something more stable for ship balance until Squadron 42 goes into beta. That's my feeling on it because we need a more stable flight model. They're going to keep on iterating on this flight model, and then they're going to keep on iterating and adding bits to combat and ship. So you're going to have physicalized components, you're going to have different times to kill, you're going to have loads of balancing when it comes to weapons and shields and power and all that sort of stuff. And that's going to take a while. Can we expect more information on science and agriculture career paths this year, based off previous career reveals? Ronin, I'm expecting CIG to be a bit more forward-coming when it comes to their design documents for these things and their more up-to-date information. At the very least, I would expect at CitizenCon to have some panels on some of these aspects. Hey Bored, tried out Shadow and I can actually play Star Citizen now while I try and build my new PC. Thanks for the suggestion. Okay, I have not tried. I love Shadow, by the way. I'm a massive Shadow shill. I fucking love them. And I will continue to shill for Shadow until I don't like their products or their crap for Star Citizen. Or at least if there's better ones for Star Citizen, then I'm aware of, I will have to say this is better. But at the moment, Shadow is fucking great as a product. And these are cloud-based PCs. They allow you to remote your phone, your crappy PC, your good PC, whatever, your laptop, whatever, to a different Windows 10 environment that is set up for gaming, that has a 1080 graphics card in it, and is sexy for games. And then you can just play directly from there, which is awesome. It leverages the power of the internet. So you need a reasonably good internet connection, or at least one that has a low latency. They have also just released. So they had shadow boxes before, which were little PC replacements. So instead of having a PC around your house, you can have one of these. These are the new Shadow Ghosts, and they're just like the new design and a little bit more efficient. They've got a load of USB points, and instead of having a PC, you literally just have a monitor or TV hooked up to it, and your keyboard and mouse and stuff, and your network, yeah, you hook all that up, and you can use it. Bam, use your Shadow PC straight from there. So for some people, that's going to be useful. I will try that out properly when 3.5 goes to PT Wave 1. I will talk and advertise this probably, if it's any good. I'm assuming it's going to be good. The Shadow boxes worked and were appropriate. With Shadow, please remember, if you do check it out, I do use the code BoredGamer because you get a discount, and I get a little kickback from that. But please remember that experiences will vary based on your internet connection. So, if you've got a trash internet connection, then you're not going to have a very good time. But I found it great for Star Citizen. So, and the other thing is I like Shadow's sort of like color scheme, which is black and white, is very Aegis Dynamics. And I will probably put some Aegis Dynamics logos on this. Boom. Yeah. We'll talk more about that once 3.5 goes to first wave PTU, because then I can actually test that on there and talk about my experience with it. But I'm glad that a lot of people are having a good time with Shadow, because I don't want to endorse something that is trash for what I say it's good for, you know what I mean? Also, people keep on asking my recommendations on joysticks. Virpil, and the Constellation Delta. It's amazing. It's the best stick I've used. It's got the best feature set, and it's got the best range of motion that I've used for sticks. And I've used the X52, it's the X56 as well, and the Warthog, and a few other sticks. Is it true that ships have very low acceleration in the new flight model? Yeah, acceleration and turning has been reduced. I have not tried racing yet. I will at some point. What ratio of players versus NPCs to expect in the more niche industrial careers? Well, they've said they want 9 NPCs to every player. I expect a lot of the content will be PvE in the game. And then there'll be areas that are significantly more PvP orientated. There's going to be loads and loads of NPCs being simulated that are industrial career based. And it's going to be dependent on where you are in the verse. Some systems are going to be a lot more industrial and like safe for those NPCs to fly around. Will the Carrack and A90 jump be able to leave normal sized planets fully loaded, considering the nature of the ship? It would seem crazy to me that the ship would be grounded on some planets. The Carrack and the 890 jump probably won't have too much problem leaving a Earth gravity planet. Yeah? Even with a reasonable amount of cargo, probably. We're going to have to see exactly how they balance that, but I'm assuming they will balance that so that they can leave. It's the larger ships larger than that aren't necessarily meant to go to ground. Like the Reclaimer is a good example, and the Starfarer are good examples. Their VTOL thrusters might not be built to go to ground. Then it might not be that their main purpose is not to land on planets and moons. However, the Carrack, quite potentially for exploration purposes, will. So it should have powerful VTOLs. Will items like shields and weapons still disappear after your ship gets destroyed, or will they be permanent? Eventually, you will be able to ensure them, is the idea. In the short term, when you lose a ship after you've bought something in-game with in-game credits, that will be lost until you rebuy it. But long term, once you buy something in-game when there's no more resets, you should be able to ensure that. Ensure ship items. That's the plan, but we haven't got any confirmation of exactly when that's coming. Hey Bored, hope your dad is continuing to make progress. Yes, he is. As Chorus, have you seen the new Drake Buccaneer teaser? Yes, I saw it earlier today. Was wondering if that's the near finalized Art Corp or if they're going to be using the old social module with Skybox. Figured you have a good eye for which one. Oh, I was just looking at the ship. To be honest. Right, we can play it now, though. We can play that trailer now. Listen. Fuck. Boop. Boop, boop. Bring this up on screen. Boom. Hopefully DC has not put any weird fucking videos on SideTube recently, because that will affect my feed. Please do not judge me on weird suggestions that you might see after. Oh. Full face. Yep. Off for a second. Probably make some music for it, shouldn't I see what you mean with Argo being behind it. I think they might be the old assets. Yeah, I think that's the old Area 18. Anyone wants to have a look? There you go. I just joined the stream. Quality content as always. Oh my god. Yeah, damn right, G. Fucking damn right. Right, what we got? What we got? Can you show on spy espionage? Can you do a show on spy and espionage gameplay? We're missing some gameplay mechanics to support that. It would be interesting nonetheless. We don't have enough information on spy and espionage gameplay. I do think that Star Citizen will have some, because it's going to have information-based gameplay, and it's going to have intrigue and orgs and social experiences from those orgs. So I think, at the very least, it would have spy and espionage gameplay on the same sort of level as Eve. It used to have anyway. Eve's become much more PvE and only big battles. And it's sort of like starting to miss out on a lot of that smaller scale web and network espionage gameplay and PvP combat. So hopefully Star Citizen does not go the same route like that. But I don't think we've got enough for me to do a full show on spying and espionage. I can talk about it in how do I think it will evolve in game, but I'll have a look. I'll write down some notes. Any news on the Redeemer? Nope. No new news on the Redeemer. I suspect it will start its rework mid of next year. That's my expectation now. Do you think the next big ship sale will be before the release of 3.5? I think the next big ship sale will be end of March. Talked about the auto gimbals already. I need some time with it in my hands, and then it needs to be balanced. Combat needs to be balanced. Flight model needs to be balanced, and all the ships and weapons and everything needs to be balanced for me to give a genuine review of it. I think it might have a place in the game, but I don't know yet. Sorry, they keep on giving you questions. So like I do miss some of them, I apologise. Do I think the 300 series will get a price rise after the rework to differentiate it more from the 100 series? I think it will have a more customised price based on how you customise it. See what I mean? I'm torn between having a Cutlass and a Vulture or a Mercury Star Runner. Do you think the Mercury Star Runner will be okay to solo with? Blades and AI turrets in it, or any opinions on these ships? I really like the Vulture because it's a cool salvage ship. I really like the Cutlass because it can do a bit of everything in the game at the moment. And I really like this Mercury Star Runner because it's like a Millennium Falcon and allows you to do a lot of stuff in data running. If you want to do data running and cargo running, just go for the Mercury Star Runner. If you definitely also want to do salvage, then go for the Cutlass Vulture combo. My suggestion. How big is a Cutlass? I've seen 35 meters. 29 meters. It's bigger than it was. It's on the thingamajig, isn't it? It's the correct. It's on the ship matrix. So look, I'm pretty sure this is correct currently. Tricks. Back. Looks to be 29 meters. I haven't got a measuring stick to measure it now. I will be doing a full ship buyer's guide of all the ships once we have 3.5 live. I think that's my plan anyway. Why not sell all flyable ships on the sites? I personally know of people that buy and sell on the grey market because of this. This is money that doesn't go to the overall budget of the game. Yeah, it does. People still buy those ships in the first place and then sell them on the grey market. They still, CIG have still made their money. One of the reasons they don't sell all the ships at the time is because it creates hype, it creates artificial scarcity, and it seems to work from a marketing perspective. But I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying it's great for us as consumers, but I'm saying that's some of the reasons they do it. Hey, Bored, hope your Dan's doing well. Yes. Did you get a new key light? You have a special glow today? Yes. I've got a new light. I need another one here. I've got, but the tent's wrong. So next time I stream, I'm hoping to have the light levels correct, and it should look a lot better. Do you think the Reliant fighter variant will be as sluggish as the core or a lot more maneuverable? I think that the Reliants in general are going to be a bit more maneuverable than they have been relatively to other ships, especially with the new flight model. Can you play why sell expensive shoes that is full of bugs like Connie's when other flyable ships that don't have bugs not for sale? I don't know how to answer these questions. They're not really questions. How good does your internet need to be for Shadow? Okay, you can get away with 20 megabytes, 20 meg download. But it's going to be dependent on your latency, basically, of your connection. Because if you have too much latency, then you have so much input lag that moving your mouse is like a second behind. And that's just fucking terrible. So as long as your internet's reasonable, you should be fine. You can get away with tethering it on some phones in some situations. However, I wouldn't play fast-paced games like Apex Legends when I was tethering to my phone because there's going to be far too much lag. And for a lot of games, it's going to be too much lag tethered to a phone. But playing catch co-op games and things like that on a joypad or beat 'em up games, not as bad. So I'm talking about sort of like worst possible, but still workable solutions. You can use a net speed gauge to see how much buffer bloat and how much latency and stuff you have on your connection. That's probably what I'd recommend doing. Just seeing what it sort of like categorizes your connection as. But they recommend 50 megs download and was it at least 5 upload, I think. But go to the website and see it's got all the information listed there. Can you use your HOTAS over Shadow while playing on your phone? You'd need a way to connect it to your phone, whether that's by Bluetooth or some form of connection or USB. You have to have it connected to the device you're using it from somehow. Burple's always sold out. Yeah, they are great. They are great products. Thoughts on Faceware RSI cameras? Haven't had a bit of news since CitizenCon. It's because they're sort of like trying to improve the VoIP and VoIP tech. And those Faceware cameras need to be the best possible experience for Star Citizen that they can be. They need to be really good quality cameras. They need to work really well. We haven't heard much from them. I'm expecting them to go on sale at CitizenCon this year. Do you believe exploitation ships should be able to leave planet surfaces fully loaded because some planets with heavy gravity still need exploring. You can't be far away and expect towing. Jeff, I think it is going to be down to planets and their mass and the mass of the ship that you're on. Maybe you have to get your Pisces out if you're on the Carrack, because it's too heavy with the Pisces in it. Maybe the Pisces has a tractor beam to help the Carrack get back into orbit. Who knows? But it's going to be down to the specific planet and your weight with what cargo you've got on you. Thank you very much for all the love. Appreciate it. Do you have any news on the Star Runner? Nope. It will be the first ship they build from the... is it Crusader? From Crusader Industries. And then they'll be moving on to the Hercules. Expect it to start getting work at the end of this year. Is it okay if I offer someone in chat a free Steam discount? No, because I don't know you. They have to click off anything, or they have to go to another website. No. They can't vet it, basically. But thank you for the offer. Is there any talk about some sort of simplified version of ATC controller, air traffic controller? What? For flying around large cities? But different cities and different planets are going to have different no-fly zones on them, and they're going to have different places that they want you to land, and that sort of stuff. I'm not too sure what you mean by that question, sorry. They might have certain places where you can only fly in flight corridors. They might have places where you have to request landing at certain heights. Yeah, or they're still working out exactly what they want to do when it comes to these large city planets and where you land, how you interact with them. Do you think the Defender is being pushed back until next patch? No, I think it will make 3.5. Don't know that. I don't know that for sure. I don't know if the music's been copyrighted on that video I showed. I'm sorry. Yeah, my sound effects are better. Just PM me on Discord if you can. Go. I was loving flying my ship and play with a gamepad. Do you think that the new flight model will be as fun and easy to use, or more fun and more easy to use than the previous one? I think it's going to be easier to use, especially for new players coming straight into it. And it's got the potential to be fun and good. Definitely got the potential there. Are you Evocati right? I've never seen you post or seen you chat in there. I do chat and post sometimes. I try not to interact too much with other people when testing needs to be done. Because when I comment on stuff, I actually get a reasonable amount of hostility when in certain chats. I think people feel like they need to compete against me, or that I'm like better than them or something like that, or I see myself better than them when I'm clearly not. So I don't interact too much with people that I haven't ingratiated myself with. Like, you don't see me post on Reddit much because I don't want to spam my content around. And when I talk to certain people in certain areas, I feel like they think that I'm just trying to push my own sort of brand and agenda. I think that at least that's the way I think some people could see it. So I try not to do that. Evocati, the main thing they need to do is report stuff, test stuff, play around with stuff. Is it true that it will take longer to destroy ships in 3.5. That's what it looks like the plan is going to be. They want longer times to kill overall. Ship combat is slower, but they haven't balanced everything for combat yet. Yes, expect ship battles to be a bit longer than they have been previously. What are your thoughts on the F8 Lightning, for example? Is keeping it behind a play wall?
Like
beautiful.
Leo.
Thank you very much, Dalamars. I love your face. Humble gamer. No, oh god, no, I look like a dick, more so than normal, and a potato. Keeping it behind a play wall and a pay wall, build up height it cannot live up to. Will it be hard to balance for the ship in the PU? No, because the heavy fighters are going to have loads of armament and loads of firepower, but they might necessarily be the most agile things in the world. It'll be balanced more for Squadron 42, because then they can balance the more civilian ones. I suppose for the persistent universe in the short term, military tech is going to be a lot harder to come by, if not near impossible for players. So they have the civilian models of stuff. It might be hard to balance for the PU. Don't know. Don't think so though. Yeah, I get questions from Discord, direct messages, Twitch, and YouTube, and anywhere else I see them. I'll probably start taking them from my Reddit as well. How do you think scientific gameplay will work? Scientific gameplay encompasses so much gameplay and crosses over into potential manufacturing and exploration. I'll comment more on scientific gameplay because it is very exciting for me, and even farming it crosses into, once we know a bit more. Because at the moment, it's all sort of like based on very early talks about, yeah, we want to have farming. Yeah, we want to have science. Yeah, we want to have this sort of exploration. Yeah, we want to have overclocking of components. You can actually tweak the how good a component is before you mount it. So that's one of the overclocking that some of the science stuff can do. And you're supposed to be able to make drugs, and you're supposed to be able to analyze things and crunch data and sell info on that data and stuff like that. We're using all these science components from the Endeavour, things like that. Do you think? But then there's also surveying. There's so much to do with it. Do you think we'll have a medium science concept ship announced this year? Yes, that's a good shout. Or at least modules that allow ships to do science that haven't already been announced. Hey Bored, any way you can let me or help me seduce CIG into let me buy a Kraken? Keep up the good work. Expect the Kraken to go on sale a couple of times this year, probably still, especially toward November time. Do you know if the new flight model allows us to control the speed of strafing? Beyond the acceleration control, the velocity control, I don't think it does at the moment. You can put a different amounts of power on your MFDs though. Beyond that, I don't know. But when it comes to, so your velocity control will allow you to, on the fly, mouse wheel up and down to how much maximum speed your ship can have. And then when you press any of the strafe buttons, WSAD, it will put in a percentage of that. So you can wheel it down to 5. You're 5 meters per second, and then you will be doing very minute movements or landing more gracefully. The use of tweaking your velocity control and decoupling with the new flight model should allow you to do some quite clever things. It allow you your 6 degrees of freedom, fly around targets, strafe around them at different speeds and different maneuvering. So I do think there's going to be a reasonable amount of skill to it, but I do think it's a lot more simplified and a lot more thoughtful, more tactically thoughtful, rather than Twitch response thoughtful. See what I mean? But you will have that functionality, Mr. Bubbles, yes. I do wish they would allow for acceleration control as well on the fly, because I would do different things with it. And then the ability to toggle velocity and acceleration control on and off, so that it just goes up to its maximum. Because there's also cruise control, which literally goes, what's your velocity control at? Bam! Stay at that speed. Rather than, this is your maximum speed you can go. It will just go, stay at this speed, where possible. I wish Twitch Prime also resubbed, because everyone that has Twitch Prime should definitely sub to one of their favourite YouTubers or Twitch streamers. Do you think CIG will expand monetization this year? Oh, can you be more specific on what you mean, expand monetization? So I think they will expand monetization. They're releasing more ships. They've got their new way of customizing ships that's going to be with 3.5 and the 300 series rework. So yeah. There's certain things that I'm okay with them monetizing and certain things I'm not okay with them monetizing. And I think that if they do something entirely new, they need to talk to the community about it before they do it, which is why you have so much backlash against them before they've actually released products having BlizzCon type tickets that they tried to sell last CitizenCon. And they did go, no, okay, we won't do that, sorry, sort of thing. They responded to the community, which was good. Do you think CIG should focus more on gameplay opportunities now after ArcCorp? No, so what? Well, I mean, yeah, we want gameplay. We want gameplay area. We want the core of the game to be done. We want combat and flight models to be stabilized.
You and I have known each other longer than most of my relationships.
Oh, relapse. I love your face. Thank you so much. 16 months is a long fucking time as well. Thank you. Appreciated. And yeah, I think we've got a nice, stable, beautiful relationship that will blossom the more money and donations you give. Thanks, relax. Appreciate it. Thank you. I do genuinely appreciate all the support and all the kind words and the feedback. That is incredibly important. And the money. Fucking hell. Oh my god. So it's important. So CIG this year are trying to get Squadron 42 out the door for 2020. They want alpha and beta of Squadron 42 next year and potentially launch, all that sort of stuff. So all of that tech and baseline for everything will be subsumed in the persistent universe. And at the same time, they're trying to expand out the persistent universe. So there will be some more gameplay. It's just the focus is that core Squadron 42 stuff, which is the core of the game. That is the flight model. That is balance. That is lots of different combat. That's a load of other stuff as well. That's physicalized components. That's much better AI. That's a huge amount of stuff, but it's just less in the way of the multiplayer gameplay loops, which are like salvaging and repair and science and all that sort of stuff. Although salvage is supposed to be in this year still, so that's a good thing. Do they update things like planets, atmospheres, and how they react to ships during patches? In other words, between 3.4 and 3.5. Yes, expect some changes there, because they're adding lift, for example. I prefer the new flight module, allegedly. Oh my god, that's basically what I said, isn't it? Oh well. PTU when? Don't know, but I'm expecting it between the 14th and 21st of March. What is the best sniper for no-scoping? Why no-scoping? Wait. At the moment, I'm not massively in favour of any form. It's the scalpel for me, anyway. But that will change very soon. I'm pretty sure. Currently, what's being shown on the screen is ArcCorp. This is really early Area 18. Very early version of what we're going to have in 3.5, but it's going to be a lot different this now. These are the old assets from 2017. And the other planet that is shown, the non-city planet, is Old Hurston. That's Hurston before they changed the color palette, before they changed the light, the way it diffuses, and before they got the new buildings. So it's a good representation of how everything's changed and changing. How viable do you think the Star Runner will be for a mostly solo player? I don't think that you will have that much fun in a Star Runner single player, but I do think it's viable. I think that ship you'll have a lot more fun if you have NPCs or players with you. Carrack or Space Rail? Carrack, I love the Carrack. Do you think they might reopen open certain places in the no-fly zone for mission and crew that's part of the mission? Yes, I do. I think there's be some areas on planets you'll be able to land in between no-fly zones. I also think there'll be buildings and stuff that will be explorable in the future on ArcCorp that will have missions part of them. But there's going to be buildings above the no-fly zone anyway that you can land on. Do you think CIG should focus more on gameplay opportunities? We've talked about that. Do you think the new flight model will favour dual stick over HOTAS users? I don't know. I will discuss it at length with Noob after he's had a good time to play with it. That's okay. Don't worry about if you're spamming or other. It's all good. Haven't tried the game since 3.0. Have I missed anything? Yes. With the Carrack hopefully coming at the end of the year, do you think you'll get a first iteration of exploration gameplay next year? We'll have... So we'll have more and more stuff to explore and have hints at exploration gameplay even this year. You're talking about proper exploration. I don't know. I don't think so. We need more systems for that. We need deeper gameplay loops for that. So I don't think we'll have proper exploration. And that does touch into science next year. Maybe towards the end of next year we might get something. But I don't know. So far off the radar at the moment. Have they mentioned anything about ArcCorp having a lot more shops and other places to go? In the lore, it's supposed to. ArcCorp's supposed to have this huge amount of shops from lots of other non-competing brands of ArcCorp, and ArcCorp sell like cool engines, as far as I'm aware. And there's like an IKEA type shop, Abernathy Interiors, I think it's called. There's going to be obviously Cubby Blast, the weapons shop. Saw early Area 18, so it's got lots of other like ship shops and things like that around. It's probably going to be the best commerce hub in the game when it comes to purchasing things. Well, in Stanton, and it's supposed to be the most developed human world city-wise. So expect lots of different shops there. As a newcomer to this space, is it worth buying older ships with like the Sabre or the newer Tecum ships? Will they include power creep? You'll have to buy everything in game, so it's worth getting just the starter pack, in my opinion. Maybe upgrading to an Avenger Titan. If you're looking for a ship, then see how everything balances with the new flight model in 3.5 before purchasing. Older ships, some of them are significantly cheaper than they're worth in game compared to some of the new ships that come out of this value. So some of the older ships you can get bargains with, if you see what I mean. New ships aren't necessarily more powerful and largely just aren't. You know what I mean? I'm doing fine, thank you very much. Will there be a farming concept ship this year, given harvestable entity spawning is in for 3.6 currently? So it also includes, obviously, mining nodes, harvestable entity spawning. It's not just going to be for like, well, I suspect it will be used for generate, eventually, flora and fauna. I think we probably will see some more farming based things, whether that's going to be to do with outposts or farming vehicles that help with outposts and farming rather than ships, because obviously we have the biodomes on the Endeavour as a thing, but maybe it's going to be mining vehicles rather than mining ships. But yes, I do think we'll probably see some more gameplay like that suggested and talked about, and maybe some concepts for it this year. Right now, it seems there's an advantage to playing with mouse and keyboard instead of HOTAS because of more accurate aim. I do not agree with you, Matt, in the current flight model. With the new flight model, I haven't tried a HOTAS yet with it. And it would need to be balanced anyway before I could give an honest opinion. I think it's simpler to use a mouse and keyboard, and there are some benefits to it. However, dual stick is very good for functionality and aim. Do you believe that the new Radeons will run significantly better with next year? I don't know. Don't know until I try them. Class Edition will run much better next year, though, because they'll be a lot more optimized. One of the joys of having Squadron 42 and trying to get it out for next year is that they'll be starting to add optimizations that they will do will be really efficient and should start to see a lot of improvements for performance, basically. How much prior to CitizenCon do they announce the event? I'm trying to make plans to attend, no matter where it will be. Probably towards the end of March or end of April. Expect it to be October sometime. That's traditionally where it's been in the past. It's not confirmed, but that's when they typically try and do it. I think NPC crews will almost be ready by the time Squadron 42 NPC work is complete. Not for the multiplayer aspect. It needs more multiplayer work to have NPC crews that players can hire or players can work with. The Squadron 42 Episode 1 NPC work is a major step towards that, though. There was some Kraken concept ships announced last year. Do you think this year will be as good? And what do you expect to be the highlight? I think Titan suits going on sale are going to be a financial highlight for them. I think a lot of people want Titan suits. I certainly do. There's a lot of other stuff that they could do when it comes to concept ships. There's a lot of holes that they need vehicles and ships for. Have I looked at the alpha for Game Glass? I have not used the alpha for Game Glass yet. I mean, the one they've just released. I will look at that this week. And I'll look at it a lot more once PT has gone to first wave, so I can actually test it out in 3.5. This is probably asked before, but do you think everyone with a game package gets access to 3.5 PTU? They will at some point, yes. The PTU will be available to everyone at some point. It does come in waves, though, so you have sort of Evocati wave, that's up to 2,000 testers that they've pre-selected that are under NDA, and then you have wave 0, as I deem it, which is subscribers, concierge, and well, typically at least subscribers and concierge, and sometimes some additional testers, and then wave 1, which is some of the more dedicated testers that aren't Evocati, which and dedicated testers means that you've participated in multiple PTU tests and you are active on the issue council, prioritizing and reporting bugs, and or reporting bugs. And then it's wave 2 and wave 3 and wave 4, and then wave 5's out to everyone, or wave 4's out to everyone. Do I know how the Titan will fly in the new flight model? No, I only tested a very small range of ships. By small range of ships, what I mean is I've tested the Gladius. The ship I'm testing with at the moment, and I'll probably consistently test that until, well, based on whatever they want from Evocati. They give you instructions. Just need to say you're awesome. Thank you very much. Not enough people hear that. Not enough people hear that when it's in fact true. Keep being you, and by default being awesome. Do the Reliant variants look viable as ships with use? I don't know how viable the Reliants are yet, because I haven't tested them in the new flight model, and I don't know where they really stack in the verse yet. Like, they obviously have more focused roles with the Mako Tana and Zen. The core, for me, doesn't feel like it's got a use, really. Or the Core A, as some people call it. And I think the Avenger Titan just outmatches it So, but the more specific variants, they may. What do you think of the $1 and $5 monthly subscription model in addition to what we have now? Do you think CIG have considered these? I don't think they've considered them properly yet, but I do think they will look at various monetization of the game in the future when it comes to the persistent universe. They're going to consider everything. But I hope they talk to the community about it if they do need to do anything. As I said, Aaron talked to me a while ago about this, and he thinks that game packages and selling the in-game currency, UEC, in addition to like merch and things like that, should be enough for them to keep Star Citizen going for a long period of time. But they will consider other monetization routes if necessary. Will the Carrack release with the Anvil rover and the snub ship, or will they come later? They'll come later. You'll get, probably, you'll get like a P-52 and an Ursa rover with it, that sort of thing. Do you think CIG is spending too much resources on places such as Arcorp that feature as much to see, but arguably little room, no-fly zones for doing core gameplay? No, so they need to have these biomes, assets, and city planets, and the tech behind the procedural generation to make them work. And then they have all these different variants that they can generate all these other cities within game. ArcCorp is supposed to be the most popular, the most built-up city planets in the human worlds anyway. And that also allows them to build up a huge amount of assets for other places to use. So it's massive help to the game. Would you like to work as an air hostess on my Starliner? No, Mr. Bubbles, because I'll be working on my own. I'll probably be working on Zen's. He wants to run the Starliner. It's his favourite ship, I think. Any news about the Titan suit? Not really. We knew that it's sort of pegged for Squadron 42 completion Q3 of this year. I suspect we'll see a concept sale of it or something like that around CitizenCon. Or a sale of it around CitizenCon. It might be ready in the persistent universe this year, even. Maybe. Or flyable. Would it be possible to create missions for yourself for other people? Yeah, that's the idea of the service beacon. That might become a more robust contract system. And as I understand it, that's the sort of gameplay they want there. They want you to be able to offer missions to other players that you can create. You think Arena Commander's play area is too small to test the flight model? Yes. If you're testing the flight model because you want to test cruise speeds and that sort of stuff, then the Arena Commander play area is too small, yeah. As a newcomer, we've already talked about that. Do you think there could be a viable backup plan to server meshing not ever getting functional, such as we'll still have a AAA game that works? David Rodriguez, good question. Yes, so if server meshing does not work, they will come up with another solution, like shadowed servers, so stacked servers, so you'd have just lots of players in sort of like ArcCorp. They'd have like 200 players on each server, but those players would move across servers, but not in the same way that server meshing would work. So you'd have sort of like, yeah, I'm on ArcCorp in this market area, but I can't see my friend because he's on a different server. I can join him on his server, but it's not server meshing. When server meshing would have sort of like everyone potentially in the same server. This would have lots of people on top of each other on servers, but where possible, all together. So you'd have players, a few hundred, potentially 1,000 players fighting in a battle in space, because space is larger. They can separate that much more easily. It doesn't cause so much stress to the servers or whatever. They can pause and start and spin up bits for servers, but it might not necessarily work in the same way that server meshing does. So yeah, if server meshing doesn't work in the way that it got intended, they will try other techniques out and they will just have the best possible experience they can. So, but hopefully they'll get server meshing working as intended. Any idea if 3.5 also brings the fix for those weapons stacking? Weapon stacking's been fixed, isn't it? You can't put 1 billion weapons on the thing. It will change the meta, new flight model, but the new weapon and combat stuff does still need to get balanced. And that might not be, probably won't be balanced for 3.5. Why do you lose purchase ship modules when your ship explodes, but not your guns and armor when you die on foot? That's because we don't have physicalized inventories yet, and the game is in alpha. Hopefully you'll be able to ensure your customized ships and pre-save them in the future, in the near future, hopefully. And with physicalized inventories, you will lose items when you die. But again, hopefully you'll be able to ensure them. When will you be able to spawn a ship with a ground vehicle already inside? Probably when they have ship-to-ship docking in-game, which is pegged for 3.8, I think. How long do you think it will take till we can send UEC to other players or just share a reward? So for missions and cargo runs, without having to do wonky things like cargo beacons. Or service beacons. Yeah, so they are working on mission sharing and group features this year. It's one of the pillars of the game, organization features, but also group features. They did potentially want to try and get full persistence in this year, so that implies that they're going to have a lot of the group and org features done this year if possible. And it's all sort of like all maybes and if they get time and stuff. But they are working on shared rewards for missions and that sort of stuff. So basically, you'd have a group of people, the group leader has access to all of the missions that all of the players in their group have and can share one of them with everyone. That's the idea. Also, they want to have more robust contract systems so you can share money and stuff like that. And eventually, we'll be able to literally send UEC to each other, things like that. So, do giveaways of ships every month. Thanks, by the way. So, you do giveaways of ships every month. That is the plan, yes. I'm not saying I'm going to 100% do that forever, but that's the current plan. The question, how are you able to gift ships like the Carrack if you currently can't buy them on the RSA website? Is there a trick I don't know about? I have friends that have the ships, such as Nubifier. Typically, I buy a reasonable amount of ships every year, so that I have them on the back burner. Also, there is places like the Grey Market I could go to get them if I needed to. But those ships typically go on sale every year, and I have a few of them hidden away. Like, where do you get your ships from? Do you get given them by CIG? No, I do not get given them by CIG, nor do I receive any special treatment as far as I'm aware. I don't go, can I buy one of these? If for some reason, okay, I'll give you an example. If for some reason I lost, like I said, I had a carrot for a giveaway, this could happen, and I lost access to it for some reason. Like, it's like, oh, I don't have that carrot anymore, and I couldn't find it anywhere else. I probably actually would ask on my Discord first, has anyone got a carrot that they might want to donate or lend me or sell to me or whatever, then, and I couldn't even get it on the grey market, then I probably would contact CIG and say, is it possible that I can purchase a carrot? Can you give me a token to purchase a carrot? And see what they'd say. Because I think more options are better. That's just a entirely hypothetical question. That's an interesting one. I haven't seen any news of Greg's pastry shop being on the roadmap. Why not? Is Crips Roberts not a fan? But I don't think they've, Flyman, I don't think they've wanted to sponsor Star Citizen yet. Maybe one day. Maybe when I start eating Greg's. Just in front of the camera. People are like, oh, Greg's. I'd love to eat Greg's while playing Star Citizen. That looks really cool. BoredGamer is really cool. Oh my god. What do you think the next Origin ship will be? Well, the reworked 300 series. But I don't know. I'm not sure if we will see more Origin ships. In the short term, anyway. I didn't get a coffee mug, Ronan. I got a teacup and saucer from CIG once. That's all they paid me with. Also, I've thought more on the question of would I accept sponsorship or money or stuff like that from CIG in the future. You know, people like some people have got like computers and stuff for them. I have received nothing other than the teacup and saucer. And let's make that clear. However, I've thought about it. Once the game is released, I am much more happy to have Gamescom or a CitizenCon paid for by CIG for me to attend. I do not want the fact that if I went to if they paid for me to go to a CitizenCon or something, I don't want the ability for people to say that you are spending backer money, you're using our backer money to go to that event. Because I could raise that money myself, I could ask you guys for the money. I could literally have a donation goal. Do you see what I mean? Because I think that's an inappropriate use of funds, or at least that would get used against you. So I'm very careful with that sort of stuff. Once the game's out and stuff, and it's their money that they're generating and selling the product, fuck yeah, give me stuff. But for me, it's more that it would be using backer money. Once the game's out and stuff, yeah, fuck it. Shill me up. Shill
Trixie
me
little
up.
hobbitses.
3
Oh my
months
God.
of your lovely face. Stay awesome.
Oh, thank you very much, the shifty eyes. I appreciate it. Thank you for 3 months as well for subscribing. Appreciate it. What do you think multi-crewing? When do you think multi-crewing will somewhat work properly? For example, co-pilots getting landing pads, managing power, or planning routes. Oh, I see what you mean. After physicalized components are in, which should hopefully be this year, then I think we're going to start to have much better
Trixie little
multi-crew.
hobbitses.
Because that will then have the systems being able to interact with each of those components better, and hopefully you should be able to, that co-pilot should be able to com-call to get the ship landed, which should have a better permission system for who actually owns and can use ships and group systems. So it's all sort of like part and parcel of that, groups and multi-crew and physicalized components and general ship combat. There's lots going on, and it all needs to get done, but a lot of that is coming this year, admittedly. Maybe Gus problems, any end to the open and close bugs. Maybe. We'll have to wait until we have a 3.5 live, I suppose. Obviously, it's one of the major things that people complain about, including me, is that bullshit Moby-Glass open and close bug. When do you believe that full persistence will be fully implemented instead of a reset every major patch? I do not think we will see full persistence and no more server wipes. I think no more server wipes will come after full persistence. I don't think we'll see no more server wipes until, at the earliest, mid-2022. But at the earliest, end of 2021. The very earliest. Extremely early. Extremely optimistic. Do you think we'll see more community design spaceship contests, such as the Net Great Starship that birthed the Redeemer, or do you think the Redeemer being in sort of this weird no man's land, well, it's going to be entirely reconcepted, that Redeemer. I think that CIG may consider doing some more community designed weapons, items and ship stuff, but I'm not sure if they will do it. Like, the Titan suits were supposed to be community designed, but they seem to have decided not to. Star Citizen said they would allow you to run your own servers. Yeah, they did want private servers, but now they use Lumberyard. Have they said if that was still going to be allowed? I believe that the plan is still to allow for private servers and full mods, which would obviously allow you to have weird modded servers. Obviously, Amazon Web Services typically want you to use their servers, but I mean, it's Star Citizen, they'll be able to get their own whatever deal they fucking want by paying enough. So I still think the plan is to be able to have private servers in the future, yes. Do you think that the SRV, Crucible, or another ship will be able to supply or augment a damaged ship, maybe jump-starting it or allowing its turrets to operate in a pinch? I think the Crucible will be able to help repair a ship. I think you'll be able to jury-rig stuff with engineering crews on ships to work briefly or whatever, like overpowering or just getting a junction box or like quickly fixed, or swapping a component in and out of somewhere to get a component or item working or turret working very briefly, even if it takes increased wear or whatever. The SRV is going to be able to help ships move when they're damaged or crippled or whatever. Obviously, if their shields need to be down for them to do that, the ship that they're targeting needs to have shields down, is what I'm saying. So there are things there. I'm very impressed with your business ethics, Mr. Bod. No, so all you need to do is be blunt and honest, or at least honestly talk about what you want or you're planning to do. You don't have to have ethics or anything like that. You just have to be honest. But it's as simple as that.
Trixie little hobbitses.
And then be willing to change and willing to be wrong and discuss that. And I think it's not an ethical thing. That's just why have language if you're not going to communicate accurately what you're feeling and thinking or doing? What's the point in slithering around like a fucking weasel snake? Like, well, I understand that people get advantages from that. I understand that why people lie, because they can get advantages, at least in the short term, but it just breaks down the system. I'm very much sort of like communicate accurately and concisely where possible, because why wouldn't you? Like, everyone suffers from not doing that. With the new flight model, will rotating thrusters become better to change direction in the larger ships like the Freelancer and up? Yes. And VTOL thrusters will be better for pushing down on planets and stuff like that. To taking off on planets. I believe that's the plan, yes. What kind of API do you think CIG will release in the future? We don't know. Hopefully they'll give us expansive access to the APIs, and I'll be able to mod stuff for the Mobilglass, mod stuff for servers, access to and expose all the data, so we can use external programs for lots of different things and hook that into Star Citizen and get stats and information on trade routes and loads of stuff. I'm hoping they expose that all. Do you think we'll be able to slingshot ships with the SRVs by building up momentum and then releasing them? I think you'll be able to move a ship, and when you release it, it will continue on that with that amount of momentum, probably. It'd be interesting if you release them in quantum. What will happen? Might be something fun to do with the community javelin. Oh my god, that javelin's not going to ever see the light of day, is it? It's going to be annihilated constantly. I want to drive into the sun. Oh, I did say that it was a community javelin. Oh god. Do you think CIG will fix the bug that NPC pirates don't move and don't really fight back? Yeah. We should have AI that work in the new flight model with 3.5. Might not be perfectly balanced, and they are still working on loads of the AI stuff, but we should have fightable, playable against AI. Private servers are going to happen. Why buy more ships when you can enter a private server with boosted up earnings and buy whatever ship you want very quickly? Because you'll probably have, when you do your own servers, you'll probably have a very small amount of the game that you can private server, and that sort of stuff. Like, a private server isn't going to be as expansive as having Star Citizen servers, yeah? You're about to, like, simulate part of a system or a single planet, whatever. They do even allow it, which I assume they still will. If the Mustang Delta... Is the Mustang Delta viable yet a light fighter, or is it a starter ship? I mean, it's going to be a viable light fighter, in my opinion. But it is on that end of starter ships. In the Constellation commercial, you can see the Constellation having VTOL thrusters on the front. Do these work right now? If not, will they? I haven't tried it in the new 3.5. 3.5 is supposed to go live at the end of March, so that's the end of this month. What are your thoughts on Star Citizen's innovation in their game and openness to improvement compared to other game developers? Why are people so critical of the dev team when they are relatively new? Well, they're starting to be not so new anymore. They've been working on the game for a good few years now, and they've obviously re-geared the game massively and got a huge team since starting from like the 2015 sort of time. So they are starting to mature. They're at least a teenager when it comes to studios now. People are critical of the game because it's a double-edged sword having open development. It attracts a lot of vocally aggressive trolls and people that have opinions on something that hasn't really happened before. So their opinions are sort of like, I reckon. And when those people are sort of like, no, we like this or whatever, or their opinions get shut down, typically, they get very aggressive. That's my experience of it. Obviously, some people have some very fucking good critical points, and it's very important to take that on board. But it's important to take all points of view on board, in my opinion, and then decide your own from the crowd. You look through, see what you believe, see what you understand, look at all of it, and then make a more reasonable choice from all the information available. Which is why I love Star Citizen and I love the project. It's a huge amount of information given constantly, loads of people's opinions, and I can look through all of them and make my own. I love that. Bored. I wanted to donate a few guns for your Javelin when the day comes. Since they come stripped, I figured it's one way to contribute. Appreciated, Summer Yeti. I will happily accept your guns. We'll do some silly stuff with the community Javelin. And for people that don't know, I had enough referrals because obviously lots of people sign up under my Star Citizen code to get a Javelin. So the top referral reward is a Javelin, which is the biggest ship that's available in game for players to purchase, or has been available to purchase. There are going to be larger ones, admittedly, and I'm going to make that ship for community content, so people will be able to play with it on stream. Will be able to play if they're on Discord, whatever. So there'll be access. If you want to try out a Javelin at some point or be involved with that, there should be opportunities for you to do that in the future with me, or at least my Javelin. Is March 20th a realistic date, or should we expect it the last week of the month? I'd expect it the last week of the month for 3.5 Live. Right. The 600i is going to get...
Thanks for the solid content, BG.
Oh, Captain Squirrel, thank you very much for the sub and the resub. Thank you very much. Mwah. Appreciate it. So the 600i is going to get a little bit of an update and rework after the 890 jump is out. You know that. I hope we can personalize our ships with flair. Waste of space is good for that. Yeah, so there's going to be, when they have full persistence, you're able to place objects anywhere and they'll stay there. Also, there's going to be some interesting customization stuff with 3.5 and the 300i rework. And they said there's going to be ways of customizing ships that they haven't had previously. That's going to be from the website. And we'll get more and more customization of ships as we go forward. That will be external customization of paint jobs, of their loadouts and stuff, and hopefully be able to save that with insurance and stuff like that, get insurance for that. But also, that'll be placing flare items around your ship and hangar and things. Did I get it right? Are they addressing collision meshing in 3.5? I don't 100% know. We'll have to wait until the PTU build, probably, to see if they actually got that in. Any other questions? Because I'm going to have lunch. If not, because I'm fucking starving, pardon my French. Yeah, starving. I do love you very much, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it a lot. Tomorrow I find out, I think, if my dad is done with his cancer recovery and stuff. I think they're going to the hospital tomorrow. I think he's going to have another X-ray, just in case, to make sure that this all done. I think he's had his staples out already. But hopefully they'll tell him cancer hasn't spread. And that'll be the end of it. Might have spread, might need some chemo, might need something. Be shit if he does, but we'll deal with it if he does. Something that we will have to deal with in life. So, yeah. Hopefully it's all done though. I do appreciate all the love, all the kind words, all the subs, all the donations. How is the customization of the 300 series with 3.5 going to work with those that already own the ship? We don't know. I suspect they'll either get some form of customization with it as like a token, or they'll have to melt the ship and rebuy it. Thank you very much for watching. It's very much appreciated. And we don't entirely know what that customization is going to be or how it's going to work, BG, yet. Yeah, food and peace, indeed. Will the core keep its tractor beam on the side of the wing similar to the Mako's video camera? I believe so. I forgot. I didn't know it had a tractor beam. Obviously, it sort of vaguely sounds familiar. But of course it makes sense that it's got a tractor beam because it's the cargo variant. Yeah, it should be keeping that then. As I said, I'll go through all those ships. I'll go through the core as well in 3.5 again. I can talk about that, but I will do a proper ship buyer's guide for each of the ships in game once we've got 3.5 out. Probably it'll be. I'll check to make sure it's a sensible thing to do when that comes out. There's not going to be like, oh, well, all the ships are getting hugely rebalanced over the next year, so all of this means shit. And I won't do it if that's the case, but if it's reasonable to do so and it's valid information, or at least I can talk about in comparisons and intentions, then I will redo my ship buy guide series. And can the Mako and Sen place a weapon on the other wing? Good point. I don't know. We know that the Tana and the Core should be able to place the dual turret on its other mount, but we're not sure if the Mako and the Sen have a utility turret or it's just a anything can get their turret. But I will find out. What's for lunch? Probably a steak. I've got a load of steaks that I bought. Now that Elite Development Dangerous is development is on hold for 18 months, RSI can have a sale on ships and snag some Elite players. Is there? I'll have to look at Elite Dangerous. I need to look at Elite Dangerous and I need to look at Eve Online again this week and see what's going on with those companies. Because I know a lot of my mates that are still Eve players have been complaining recently and said, Eve shit now. So, I need to go see why that is. Right, I love you guys. You take care. I'll find someone else to host, actually. Don't know why I powered up there. Actually check Team BoredGamer first, just in case G's trimming. Damn. No, it's just me. Is online. Moist Noodle. Love his face. Right. We're going to go host Moist Noodle. He is a lovely Star Citizen streamer, and he works for JR Fabrication as well. So he helps make the cool things at events at Star Citizen props, and they license Star Citizen props, so desks and potentially model ships and things like that for the future. So you should the moistest noodle indeed. So check him out, please. He is a good chap. Give him some love. Oh no, what have I done? Will it be a harsher penalty when it comes to kill someone? It depends on where you are. If you're in lawless space, so if you're in like a system which has no UE affiliation, then no, you'll just be fine to murder people. It's just I would say the Wild West, but it's more extreme than the Wild West. Just murder, do what the fuck you want. It's a high risk, high reward sort of area. Some of these zones might have their own laws or whatever. They might have groups of pirates or groups of outlaws that sort of run them and have private security there. So if you get detected doing a crime, then you will be subject to that area's law. And that's true of lawful zones and UEE zones. And the Stanton system is under UEE law, but it is privately private security runs it, basically, from ArcCorp and all the different plants and Hearst and all that sort of stuff. But you do need to be detected doing the crime, seen doing the crime, for you to get a response. So potentially you could take someone down with a bullet from behind, bam, they wouldn't see who the person was even, and the person that killed them wouldn't get a criminal rating if they were out of the range of the comm relays and no one else saw, that sort of stuff. Yeah, give Moist Noodle some love though. You take care, guys. I will try and get an update, the channel video up today, or that might be tomorrow now, talking about the carrot giveaway and all that sort of stuff. I know people obviously desperately wanted a carrot given away on the channel, so hopefully that helps in the way of subscribers and viewers through the month. But yes, love you guys. You take care. Peace out. Thank you so much for the kind words, my dad and stuff. It hasn't been as much as a struggle as people have thought. Like, I want to be a dutiful son to my parents, who have been a massively awesome support for me throughout my life and all of the stupid things I've done throughout my life. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that I can be there. I feel like I'm building karma for not being a dick. Yes, and I get to, because I'm not really caring for my brother anymore. It's sort of like I've had a lot more freedom. So, but anyway, enough of this. Thank you very much for watching. I love you guys, and you take care. Peace. Boom. Thank you very much for watching.